The Last of Us Season 2 has now ended, and coming from a fan of a game, I love this show, but there's a lot of elements in here that I was like, you could have done that a lot better. So, let's review it. If you have not played the game, don't worry, I will not be spoiling the second portion of the game at all. I will just be covering what the show has covered, so spoilers for that, but without further ado, let's start. And for starters, the acting in here is incredible sometimes. When it comes from Pedro Pascal performance as Joel, he knows how to hit the emotional punches, especially in episode 6 when it covers from the porch scene, or just scenes he's in episode 1 and 2. He just captures Joel. His energy is just Joel. And he can deliver a emotional performance and funny performance as Joel. And whoever is the actress of Abby, we don't get much of her, but just the little glimpses that we do get of her, especially in the end of season 2 and that last scene in the show, that is Abby, directly ripped from the game. It gave me goosebumps watching the performance because that is seriously the game version of Abby. That is how you deliver a performance. And I have to see season 3 to fully confirm this, but she might be the best casting in this entire show. She is Abby, straight up ripped from the game. And I can't wait to see what they do with her in season 3. And the actress of Dina, I feel like embodied Dina. Her humor was Dina, her acting was Dina, she was Dina. And then Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Overall, solid performance as Ellie, but I will dive into that later. Just overall, everyone did an amazing job with their acting skills. But more specifically, Pedro and actress of Abby. And this show does a good job at just bringing the game to life. When it comes to the story, set designer, just the little Easter eggs they set for the fans, it all brings this game to life. It's just nice seeing the entire game just brought to life because Seattle is ripped out right from the game because it looks exactly how it does in the game. And these little Easter eggs just for the fans that they know what they are, but the general audience won't know what they are yet. It just always makes me smile because I'm just scanning the background just for those little Easter eggs. And it's just fun seeing this entire world come to life. And the show still has everything great about the game. The story, the emotional moments. Everything great about the game is most likely in the show. This show is great because of the game's story. Everything that made the game so great is the reason why this show is as great as it is. When it goes to the little hints of what the theme is of the overall story or the emotional moments, every key thing lines up to make this a great story. And although we don't have the full story yet in the season, it's getting to become that full story. And I can't wait to see what season 3 brings, and potentially a season 4 from the director of how this full story wraps up. Because the story is great. And emotional moments, not every single one hits the same way as the game, but they still leave an emotional punch. Although they're not perfect from the game, they still have that emotional punch where you feel it. Goosebumps or not, you feel it. Episode 6 porch scene. The ending of the final episode, you feel every single thing. And motion is a big thing in the second game. And I'm glad they're able to still capture that. But I have more to say about that. Now the first half of the show, I thought was an easy 10 out of 10. If only the rest of the show kept that same momentum. Because if I'm just judging from the first 4 episodes, even the first 2, let's say, they were fleshing a lot of things out. If they flesh this out throughout the entire season, they're able to match to the game. They weren't able to flesh everything out, and those first 4 episodes fleshed the stuff out the most, especially episode 1 and 2. But then we get into the rest of Seattle. And it's just rushed compared to the game. Seattle Day 2, Seattle Day 3, and even the flashbacks, they all just feel a bit more rushed. Especially Seattle Day 2. There's a huge portion of the game that is not there. Now granted, I'm sure sneaking around half the time in a show is probably not as entertaining as it is in the game, but it just feels so rushed. Next thing we know, we're already in the hospital at the end of the episode. By the time the actual episode's kicking into play, it went by way too fast. Seattle Day 3 was better, but there were still moments missing here and there, and I would love to see the bloater fight. And then when it did come to the flashbacks in the game, they're spread out. We're not getting them all in one. So I feel like the show should have spread them out at the end of each episode. Having it all in one episode made it feel like They're just throwing everything at you at once. It didn't really have the same effect. As if, imagine this, we have each flashback at the end of the episode once Joel died, and then we slowly and slowly build up to that porch scene, like the game did. I feel like that would have worked way better than just throwing it all in one episode. And I just question why they really changed some things. For the rush factor, because you're telling this story in 4 seasons, do we need to rush through it? You guys have plenty of time. I don't think anyone really forced you to make this 7 episodes. You could have made it 9. It should have been longer, because that's really how you fix my problem here. Because compared to the game, the second half of the show is pretty rushed. Like I said before, the first 4 episodes were almost 10 out of 10 for me, and I love what they did with that. But then the second half of the show is rushed, and it really has all the problems with the show are those last 3 episodes. All it takes is for you to make the show longer, and you would have fixed that. The game is 20 hours long. I guess 10 if you absolutely sped through it. But all it took is for 2 more episodes, and you could have fleshed everything out just a little bit more for those last 3 episodes. So they didn't feel as rushed. They're fast-paced. You could have took your time with it a bit more. Now I did talk about how the emotional moments still had that punch. Well, one key thing. Bella Ramsey isn't always able to capture Ellie. She has her moments. She can act. I can say that. I'm not hating on Bella Ramsey. But sometimes, especially if you compare it to Ashley Johnson, yeah, they're the same character, but one is more emotional, the other's just angry. I feel like you could have definitely showed more of the emotion. She does a good job still, but again, when you have this thing over here, it's kind of like, this is better, and sadly this has to go down. Bella isn't able to fully capture the same emotion that Ellie has. Not able to fully capture the same rage that Ellie has. Which is disappointing because I like Bella Ramsey, but it's something I do have to call out. Overall, still a great show. I've loved seeing the story come into live action form from game to screen, but the second half of the show is not as strong as the first and felt a lot more rushed to the end. Still able to capture everything great about the game, but obviously one thing is better than the other, so you're going to compare the two, and if one does it stronger, the other's fully not able to catch up to it. But still a great season, and I can't wait to see what they do with season 3, especially since that Abby is the best casted person in this show. If you like this video, maybe leave those on the side to Institute too. Like, subscribe, see you guys next time. Goodbye.